Okay, so we're now going to go to rule number 3, and this is a very important rule because we need to really find out what our prospect is really talking about. If you're going to be understanding your prospect, if you're going to seek to understand rather than to be understood, you're going to have to prompt them a little bit. Again, like in our last rule, we need to get them talking, right? So that's important. But we also need to get clarification. We need to get people to be specific. And so rule number 3 says that you need to find the real reason that your prospect makes a statement or asks a question. Now, what this means is that behind every statement, behind every question that anybody utters anything, there is always a reason behind it. And usually, when a prospect will give you some type of an answer, it usually is a surface answer. It usually does not get to the root of what they're really feeling, what they're really going through. If you've ever watched me in a seminar, you'll watch me do a question, and I'll do a question on the slides, and it'll say something like, I could sell more if I could only ... And then you'll see me go to the participant and say, and someone will say, well, I could sell more if I could prospect better. And then you'll always see me then really start the interaction with the prospect and start asking them for more detail. And because the first answer, well, I need to prospect better, does not really allow me to understand what the client really needs. As you can imagine, well, I need to prospect better. Well, do you have prospects? Do you have enough names and numbers? Do you make the calls? Do you not make the calls? Are you making the calls and then you're not getting the appointments? You can see how detailed a discussion with a prospect can become. So you always need to know what the real reason, really the key here is the real reason that your prospect makes a statement or asks a question. It's almost as if you always need to get to the why. There's always a why. There's always a reason behind the things people say, the things they do. Remember, in our previous example, I had you looking for the reasons why, if someone was tapping their pen, or they were looking over you, or they were looking bored, that you would want to bring that up and talk to them about that, because there's a why behind that. If they're rolling their eyes, or if they're looking at their watch, there's a why, right? The looking at the watch indicates there's a why behind why did they look at the watch. Right? You must be looking at your watch for a reason. Yes, because I'm late, because I didn't think this would go so long, because I got a call right before you came to my house or to my office, and I have to take care of something, so I cannot concentrate on you and talk with you. Fine, there's always a why, and your job as a network marketer, if you want to be an effective listener, you have to find out the why behind things. You cannot just take a surface answer and just say, okay, great, you want to lose weight? Excellent, good, let me tell you how to lose weight. And then you start vomiting on somebody because they're like, yes, I want to lose weight. Ha, okay, good, let me show you how to lose weight. That's a surface answer. So you need to go deeper. You need to always find the real reason that your prospect makes a statement or asks a question. So for example, let's say that you use your opening question, as we discussed, and your opening question is, do you have any goals as it relates to losing weight, getting in shape, feeling better? And let's imagine that our prospect says, oh yes, I'd really like to lose the 20 pounds that I put on after my pregnancy, after I had my last child. I've got about 15 or 20 pounds, and I would like to lose that. Now, typically, what your prospect will do is they will stop there. It will be a surface answer. And again, if you think that you're done, then you just immediately go into presentation mode, talking about your product or your solution to help them solve that problem. You really have not gotten them emotional enough, and you really don't understand what they're really interested in. It's one of the reasons that you want to find the reason or find the why behind things is you want to understand that people buy emotionally, but they justify with logic. So they make emotional buying decisions. If they're going to buy, they're going to purchase from you. They're going to do it once they get emotional. They justify their decisions with logic. The logic makes sense for the emotional buy. Most of the time when you're having price objections, if you're getting resistance, if you're getting people saying, I don't have money, that's too expensive, I don't have $100 a month, I don't have $80 a month, I don't have $40 a month, yes, I do want to lose 20 pounds, but I don't have that money. Usually it's because you haven't gone deep enough. You haven't found the real reason that your prospect made a statement, asked a question, or interacted with you in any way. So it's very important for you to go a little deeper. So in this example, let's say our prospect says, well, I need to lose 20 pounds. They just say, well, I need to lose 20 pounds. Now, what your job is to find the real reason that your prospect makes that statement. So I want you to use what's known as an expander. Expanders get people talking, and they get the real reason. You get underneath the surface of, I need or want to lose 20 pounds. So here's an example of an expander. Tell me a little bit more about that. Why did you say that? You mentioned that for a reason. It could even be as simple as, I need to lose 20 pounds because I really like in this spot, and and if you've seen me work with prospects in a seminar, I'll always say, if they say, I need to increase my prospecting, I'll always start with, tell me a little bit more about that, or if you could be more specific, give me some more information about that. Tell me more about that is a fantastic, I learned that from the psychology profession. If you start to feel like a psychologist or a psychiatrist as you're doing this program, you absolutely should be, because I'm teaching you things used by some of the greatest salespeople in the world. Well, they're not salespeople. Well, yes, I guess they are. Psychiatrists and doctors, head doctors, need to get their patients talking, and they need to find out what's really going on if they're going to discuss their emotional issues. And so they will get the patient talking, and they will say things like, tell me more, be specific, can you give me an example? So a great line right here is to say, I want to lose 20 pounds. And you could say right here, tell me more about that. Tell me more about about losing 20 pounds. Now, our prospect may say something like, well, ever since I had the baby, 2 years ago, it's been tough to get the weight off. Now, have we really gotten to the emotional issue? See, the reason that I want you to find the real reason your prospect makes a statement is, not only do I want to get more detail, not only do I want to understand them, but I want to keep driving to see if I can find an emotional reason. So if the prospect says, well, I need to get this weight off. I had this baby a couple years ago. I've tried a couple different things. I just haven't gotten the weight off yet. Great. So you might say, well, that makes sense, or I understand, or that happens to a lot of people, or if it applies to you, you might say I know exactly how you feel. I felt the same way. Same thing happened to me. Can I ask you why you need to get the weight off? What would be your reason? So notice that we started with, do you have any goals as it relates to weight loss? Person says, I need to lose 20 pounds. Tell me more about that. Well, ever since I had the kids, I've had this weight, and I've had it for 2 years. So I got a little more information. I know that our prospect has had this weight issue for a 2-year period. You could go down that road a little bit. But again, let's just take the prospect through and just ask them to reveal to us, without putting words in their mouth, because that's unsanitary. help them to get to what the real reason is. So you say, well, can I ask you why you need to get the weight off? Is there, you could very blatantly say, is there a reason you want to get the weight off? You might think that it would be very, well, of course everybody wants to get the weight off. You cannot assume your agenda onto the prospect. Do not assume. You do not know the reason that they want to lose that weight, and you need to get them to tell you. If they tell you why they want to get the weight off, you will find the emotional reason, and you'll be able to deal with any price objections. You'll actually be able to make the sale much easier, because in a customer design presentation, the prospect actually sells themselves. You don't have to sell. If you ask the right questions, if you listen properly, if you get people to really if you really understand what they're going through, and you can get them to talk about it and to admit it, you'll find selling and taking orders and getting people on your product and getting them on your auto ship will be a piece of cake, because they literally will convince themselves that they're emotional enough about the issue, and they will go ahead and make the decision to buy. All you have to say to them is, will you let me help you get it? Will you let me help you solve the problem that you have? So you say to them, well, is there a reason that you want to lose the weight? There must be some reason behind why you told me you wanted to lose 20 pounds, and you mentioned the babies and you mentioned the baby weight. In answer to your question, can I ask you why you need or want to get the weight off? Now our prospect says, oh, I guess I hadn't mentioned to you, I just got an invitation the other day to attend my high school reunion. It's going to be in June. I really don't want to go there to my reunion with this extra weight. I want to look great. I already made the decision that I'm going to lose this weight. Now, we now found a very emotional reason. We found a goal. We found a reason. And remember where we started. Do you have any goals as it relates to losing weight? Yes, I want to lose 20 pounds. Awesome. That's great. Tell me more about that. Well, I've had this weight on. It's been a couple years. You know, kids. Oh, I know. Geez, yeah, it's terrible. I know. Da da da. Hey, is there a reason that you want to get the weight off? Why did you mention that to me? Oh, man, I got a reunion coming up in 6 months. I just got the invitation. I had already decided I'm going to lose this weight. So your call is perfect. Wouldn't you want to know that if you're the friend who is approaching your friend or your prospect, let's call them a prospect, and you've also identified their emotional reason for wanting to do this. And this is not a course on how to handle objections, but having this information about the reunion, if you now start to get any trouble about the reunion, if you start to get any trouble about the cost or anything of that nature, you can always bring up the reunion. So let's go back to, you mentioned the reunion is in 6 months. In 6 months, if you're looking in the mirror and then you're getting dressed for the reunion and you still have the 20 pounds on, how is that going to make you feel? Well, that can't happen. It absolutely can't happen. No, you don't get, I have to fix this. This is really important to me. Many times people make a switch to buy something based on something emotional, some event, something that they need to fix. Usually people will buy when they are hurting, when they have some kind of hurt. And if you can get that hurt to be emotional, you will help people to make great decisions. Remember, when we're really listening to them and we're getting them to talk about what's really going on with them, then they're literally going to bring up their own emotional issues. They're going to tell us where they're hurting. But more important, I want them to hear it. They need to hear it from their own lips. They need to hear that I'm 20 pounds overweight. I've been struggling with this for 2 years, ever since I had the kids, and I now have motivation to do this. I've got a reunion, and I don't want to show up with this 20 pounds on. You'll hear things like, I have a certain clothes that I want to get into. I want to get into a certain gown, a certain pair of pants. All kinds of things could come out of a discussion that starts with, tell me more about it. Why did you say that? Why is that important to you? Give me more information on that. These are called expanders, and in our advanced listening program, we'll actually give you an entire list of expanders and what we call detailers and things that will help you to get more information. But again, as you're looking at the rules to guide you in your listening, you want to remember that your antenna must always be up, that you're always looking for all the signs that the prospect gives you, negative and or positive. You want to start with that opening question. Do you have any goals as it relates to saving money, creating wealth? Do you have any goals as it relates to making extra income, having a backup plan if something happens to your job in this crazy economy? And then number 3, once you get something, and when they give you some information after your opening statement, after your opening question, then what you want to do is you want to find the real reason. Whenever anybody says anything to me, I always ask them why they said it. I'll tell you. I tell you a story about. There was a. I'll tell a little note. There was a. I was doing a training in Hartford, and I was talking about this concept. And I was working for a company called Sonatrol, and a young man told me the story about needing to find the real reason behind a statement. So the young salesperson goes to the prospect, and it was for a big school, and they needed a security system for an entire new school that they were building. And the facilities manager, the person who was in charge of building the school, said to the young salesperson, he said, "Do you have anything that is proprietary? Do you have some kind of technology that nobody else has in the alarm/security business?" Well, the young salesman got so excited, and he said, "Oh yes, as a matter of fact, we do. We have this amazing new product." And he took it out of his case, and he said, "This is a perfect place to do a demonstration." And he launched into presentation mode, and he held the device up on the wall, and he said, "This is a listening device that we have, and it's so great. Someone could break into your school, and we could actually hear what room they're in. We can hear if there's glass breaking. We can hear if they're causing vandalism. We could literally even hear the intruders speaking. It's an amazing thing. We can add this to the security system. You'll love it. It's an amazing, amazing thing that we have, and nobody else has it." The facilities manager said to him, "Well, good. I'm glad you told me that, because I hate things that are proprietary. I don't like it when you're the only one who has it, because then you can control me. You control the price of the parts, and I hate that stuff. So do you have anything else that's not proprietary?" Our young salesperson is standing there with his underwear around his ankles, because the question he should have asked before he answered, he should have said, "Is there a reason that you want to know? Why? Is there a reason why you ask me about proprietary stuff? You asked me because," a very simple, "You asked me because," would have turned into "because I hate proprietary stuff. Do you have any proprietary stuff?" "Oh, no. We have stuff that's very..." You see how that could have been completely eliminated by finding out what the real reason is. Never assume when a prospect asks you something. When a prospect asks you a question, you always want to say to them, "Is there a reason you asked that? Why did you mention that? Is there a reason that you brought that up? Why did you say that?" Because before you answer as a network marketer and building your network marketing business, you don't want to blow your whole foot off by going on a tangent, going in the wrong direction, because you don't know what your prospect's really asking. Always ask your prospect, "What is the reason?" and "Because," "Tell me more," "Why did you ask that?" before you answer any questions. Before you answer any questions of your prospect, or even any statements that they make, You want to make sure that you know why they said them, and then go ahead and answer, or then do your presentation.